the Wyatt Sicks. Like, what happened to the Wyatt Sicks? They went from one of the most spectacular re-debuts of all time to falling off the face of the earth or something. And don't tell me that, oh, Triple H doesn't want to overexpose them. My rebuttal to that would be, well, you got to expose them a little bit in order to even risk overexposure, because these guys are like, they are neither here nor there. I have been looking and searching, and I mean, when was the last time we saw the Wyatt Sicks? When they ate a loss to the jobber team of the Final Testament, and before you say, hey, wait a minute, I like Karrion Kross, I'm kind of liking Karrion Kross now too, but that doesn't change the fact that they are jobbers. So the Wyatt Sicks, it's like, what's going on, dude? Let's look at the Wyatt Sicks real quick and see what happened, how they just quickly fell off the radar of everybody, or WWE at least, in that, so they debut, right? And they have banger after banger promos, like vignettes. We have Bo Dallas 2 weeks in a row with this awesome interview on how he's taking up the mantle of Bray Wyatt, his, R.I.P., all seriousness, real life brother. Bray Wyatt died, passed, and that sucked. And it was so cool that, Bo Dallas was able to pick up the mantle.
Don't you think you're exploiting your brother's legacy?
We have 2 awesome interviews there. Then we have another awesome interview with Eric Rowan, an original member of the Wyatt family.
I'm not gonna lie, the last few years have been very, very hard.
And then after that, they gave us a couple more vignettes of just like Nikki Cross screaming. Like, it's like, wait, what? How did we go from just like random screaming noises when we just came from these awesome, like intense psychological interviews that really demonstrated the motivation of everybody and why they're doing what they are?
What am I supposed to do? Let him become a mausoleum?
And it's just like, I don't know. So we stopped the vignettes. That was the first mistake. Then they get into a feud with Chad Gable, and then Chad Gable creates his own faction, American Made. That's the next mistake that maybe wasn't a mistake, maybe it was. I don't know. It was definitely a mistake for American Made. They should have ate a loss right at the beginning of their career together. But the Wyatts, they win. So it's like, okay, fine, the Wyatts win. Their motivation was Chad Gable was he was berating Otis and Tozawa and Maxine.
And you rack up loss after loss. It's pathetic. Pretty as a princess, but dumb as a box of rocks. Biggest disappointment of them all.
He was abusing them, and so that's why the Wyatts got involved, because they're all about family, and if you so dare harm your family in any way, shape, or form, they will come after you, and that's fine, okay? So they have motivations at least, and so they did, but the problem was, the moment they won that feud, it was just done. There was no consequence. They had a couple matches where the Wyatts completely dominated Chad Gable, and at the end of the day, they pinned them in a no-holds-barred match, whatever it was, and that was it. They just moved on from there. And that is the main problem of the Wyatt Sicks as a whole. We'll keep going, but right there, I want to stop for a second and say that is the Wyatt Sicks main problem. They have this big mission statement: you will not mistreat your family or we will come after you.
Even now, there's false prophets parading, belittling their family for their own gain.
It's disgusting. They must pay for their sin.
Right? And that could be many, many things. You could have them going after the New Day for mistreating Big E.
I broke my neck! Yeah, you broke your neck. So what?
You could have them go after Roman Reigns for mistreating his family.
God, I'll take your last breath. Was acknowledge me. There ain't no going back when you've gone this far.
Solo Sikoa for turning on Roman Reigns. There's a lot of ways within the wrestling dynamic that you can take these storylines with the Wyatt Sicks. But in this instance right here, the Wyatt Sicks beat Chad Gable. And then nothing happened. They just moved on. So that's like, wait a second. The Wyatt Sicks, they're crazy individuals. They're not people chasing titles. They're people chasing their motivations, really. And if they're really trying to attack these people for turning on their family, then a pinfall victory is not enough. However, just because the Wyatts aren't interested in titles doesn't mean you don't have to be. No way you can be like, I want that title on your shoulder, Chop, and I'll be like, well, you gotta comment, you gotta subscribe, and you gotta hit the bell notification, because if you do, well, then you'll be entered into win said belt on this shoulder. Also, please like the video. I'd appreciate that. I'm trying to quit the day job, so at 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away belts to celebrate my steps getting closer to said goal of quitting the day job and producing wrestling content all day long. Also, if you do want to help me get there even quicker, because I'm going to be honest with you, 10,000 subscribers, that's not enough to quit the day job, but it gets me closer and closer to that goal. And if you join the Patreon, that will really speed up the goal of getting me to that point where I can just produce content all day long. But yeah, you can win this belt, free shipping, free everything. All you got to do is subscribe and comment. There has to be some final end consequences, and this is what it could have been. It could have easily have been the moment they pinned Chad Gable and stuff, right? They should have grabbed his body, grabbed Chad Gable's body and dragged him backstage, where then they made him apologize to Otis and to Zawa and to Maxine. If they had done that, I would have been mad. I would have been mad as a Chad Gable fan. But we're talking Wyatt Sicks here. We're talking within the context of what went wrong with the Wyatt Sicks and how we can save the Wyatt Sicks. And they needed to have some kind of real closure, not just, I beat you in a wrestling match. And they could have made Chad Gable apologize. The next week on Raw, he could have said, I didn't mean anything I said, whatever. And then they just moved on with their lives. But that would have been an actual consequence, and it could have allowed the Wyatt Sicks to feel that they had rectified the problem of family members being the victim to Chad Gable. You get what I'm saying? Or they could have just made it a stipulation. They could have easily have said, okay, loser has to apologize. Either you, Uncle Howdy, will apologize to me for attacking me on your debut, or I will apologize to Otis. Kind of like a kiss my foot match, but with an apology at stake, or something like that. But there should have been something other than, I pinned you, now we're moving on. Because the moment Chad Gable got pinned, the next week on Raw, or 2 weeks later on Raw, he was just like, all right, I'm done with that freak show, and he moved on. Like, he didn't learn anything, because, 3 months later, he's in a feud with Otis and Tozawa again. So it's like, that was the major problem right there. And then we don't see the Wyatts for a while, right? And in that time space that they're gone, we have the New Day completely destroy Big E, right, verbally, and they kick him out. Well, that is like a perfect spot for the Wyatts to come after, right? That is a perfect motivation based on them saying, we're going after people who mistreat their family. And yet, they just ignore the New Day, and they go after The Miz. And it's like, wait a second, why are we going after The Miz? Now, The Miz does turn on R-Truth, so you can say, well, that's the reason. So, okay, maybe, kind of, sort of. But I feel like the bigger grievance was the New Day and Big E, because those guys did seem like real brothers, you know what I mean? And it's like, so they just ignore that. However, they go after Karrion Kross and The Miz, and that's weird, right? But whatever, because you could argue that Karrion Kross started the ball rolling on the New Day breakup. Actually, you can't argue that. He did. He flat out did.
I'm trying to help, specifically you. Look, he's already had his time in the sun, okay? Can't do anything for you until you cut this New Day crap loose.
He got an Xavier's head, and that got the ball rolling, and eventually the New Day break up. So, okay, so maybe they don't go after the New Day yet. They're going after the main reason. And Karrion Kross, he's now in the head of The Miz, who turns on R-Truth. So, yeah, that would be an actual good person to go after. Karrion Kross, he's making families, he's splitting families up. And so then they feud, right? They feud, they kidnap The Miz, and it's revealed they weren't after Karrion Kross at all.
I'll make you stars your families will be proud of.
We never cared about Final Testament.
They were after The Miz.
We wanted you.
Because once upon a time, The Miz used to be Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy's mentor.
I deserve better. Maybe you should go leave yourself back to catering.
Like 10 years ago. And it's like, wait a second. So now we're not even, it's not because of the family thing. It's, you're just trying to get revenge, Bo Dallas. On one hand, they should be allowed to do that because they're crazy individuals, but now that just destroys their mission. Their mission is no longer about, preserving families. And if they're not going after titles, then what are they going after? Is this all, now are we just on vendetta for Bo Dallas? What's after this? So then they feud some, right? And the Final Testament wins. I'm like, wait, what? Seriously, the Final Testament, a jobber team who I actually enjoy now, they straight up win against the Wyatts. Fair and square, in a match, they win. That's it. We have Karrion Kross, he pins Bo Dallas, 1, 2, 3. And it's like, what? We go back to Undertaker, way back when the Undertaker, even Kane, even Mankind. It took them very long time to eat a pin. I think it was like 1 year, even 1 year. And after he won the world title, that's how long it took for Undertaker to eat a pin. Bray Wyatt, when he came into WWE, it took a little bit of time before he ate a pin. And we have Bo Dallas on his second feud losing? That right there was also a problem. Now, is it that we don't trust Bo Dallas? Is that the thing? Are we not trusting Bo Dallas? Because Bo Dallas didn't make it before in the WWE. They cut him, and he was a jobber for the most part. He had a good run in NXT before NXT was the juggernaut that it is now, when we had to Bo leave.
All you have to do is leave!
In Bo Dallas, and I love that gimmick, actually. I wish that had, like, stayed longer in WWE. So, but anyways, is that the fact that we don't believe in Bo Dallas as a main event guy, is that why we had this awesome opening for him, awesome reveal, and then just stuck him down the lower mid-card, and we're not doing much with him? Because if that's the case, then honestly, we got to do something drastic in order to save this ship. Now, disclaimer, I am not a huge fan of the spooky gimmicks because I don't like lightning out your fingers, but I do like creepy. And the Wyatt Sicks actually have done a really good job at being creepy with very light supernatural elements that you can explain. As long as you can explain the supernatural elements, I guess I'm okay with it. And I was okay with the Wyatt Sicks. And so I just don't understand why this is all happening. And I know we haven't fully given up on the Wyatt Sicks because there are QR codes on Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss has come back with Lily, and Lily has a 6 on one of her eyeballs. So if we're not giving up on them, then we got to do something big in order to fully save them, because the course they're on right now, okay, they bring Alexa Bliss in and nothing really changes, because if they don't view Bo Dallas as a main event guy, then the Wyatt Sicks, they've already hit their ceiling. Who are they going to feud with, after this? Maybe they get a feud with Solo Sikoa if they're lucky, but they're definitely not going after Roman Reigns. So, okay, so I laid out all the problems. How do we fix it? Well, the first fix is Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss has a direct connection with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. That's key. The Fiend. She was, I don't know, The Fiend, got in her head. And so we can bring that. Plus, she's a very good speaker. Now, I think Bo Dallas is fine as a speaker, but whatever the case may be, we're going under the assumption that they don't trust him to be a main event guy, which is fine, whatever. But I don't think that Alexa Bliss should be the leader of the Wyatt Sicks. She should be co-leader. Think Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest in Judgment Day. What they did, we need to bring it over here. Alexa Bliss should be one of the leaders of Wyatt Sicks. Who should be the other? Oh, well, Uncle Howdy. No. There was a guy just released from AEW that, once upon a time, was a very dark and borderline spooky character in WWE by the name of Alister Black, and he, known in AEW, Maliki Black. In 2021, I believe he was released from contract and signed with AEW, and well, you know how there's Ricky Starks in NXT? Well, Maliki Black was also released, and now we have Alister Black just ready to come back in.
Will somebody pick a fight with me?
What if Uncle Howdy didn't want to ever really become a wrestler? He wanted to be like Paul Bearer. And wanted to be like their manager, wanted to be like the spiritual leader as opposed to the physical leader of said group. And then we could have Maliki Black come in as the real, like, physical leader of the Wyatt Sicks. We could have Alexa Bliss also co-lead via Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. We use that template over here. And Uncle Howdy, he can show up at random, so we don't overexpose him, but he does show up. They go to him for advice. They do a lot of things, right, with Uncle Howdy, but he's not going to be wrestling all the time. And the beauty is, though, every once in a while he can wrestle. He can take bumps, but we don't need him to. We can make this Alister Black's faction for the most part. Uncle Howdy can show up maybe once a month while Black and Alexa Bliss hold down the fort. And then the other members of the Wyatt Sicks, they need to get some exposure as well. We need to do to the other members of the Wyatt Sicks what the Bloodline did with the other members of the Bloodline, the original Bloodline, where we got to see a lot of Jay, Jimmy, Sami Zayn, where we eventually built up Solo Sikoa, and that's what we could do here. With Alexa Bliss and Black as your leaders, we can start seeing some of their underlings. They can throw them on missions. They can do a lot of things. It's evident that they don't trust Bo as the main event guy. But I know that Triple H and Paul Heyman both saw Alister Black as a main event guy. It was Vince McMahon who didn't. So now we have another opportunity, give them a whole faction, and they can run wild, completely run wild all over SmackDown. And that would be a good feud for Cody Rhodes after WrestleMania as well. Or even John Cena after WrestleMania, whoever wins that one. And you might say this, oh, well, Maliki Black had no real connection to Bray Wyatt. I feel that it needs to be Bo Dallas, his actual brother, and that's fine that you feel that way, but here's the deal. The Bo Dallas as the leader of the faction, clearly, it's not working. And I'm not saying I even hated it. I'm saying from the results that I see, it's not working. So you can either let Bo Dallas continue to run the course with the Wyatt Sicks and for them to slowly just fade into obscurity, or we can bring somebody in that WWE will put the full weight of the machine behind and let the Wyatt Sicks as a whole continue its course and elevate itself, with Bo Dallas still being in the picture to honor the memory of Bray Wyatt. And you could also say, well, it's just because Bo Dallas is injured. I don't buy that either. This is a faction of 5 actual wrestlers. All 5 of them can wrestle. If Bo Dallas is injured, we can still have other things going on. So I don't buy that injury is the thing that's preventing the Wyatts from not being on TV. I really do think that they just don't have faith in Bo. And I already told you the solution. Get Alister Black in there, and we can keep Bo, we can keep the Wyatt Sicks, we can have Alexa Bliss co-lead the whole thing. And that's my thoughts on this whole Wyatt Sicks situation. Do you want the Wyatt Sicks to just go away forever? Do you want them to try to salvage the Wyatt Sicks? Tell me how you would fix the Wyatt Sicks and making them a threat moving forward. Guys, girls, have yourselves